So, I want to react to some of this interview that Dr. Umar did with a woman who has a podcast in Australia. And just a PSA before I get started, I recently revived my second channel, Fem Strategy, and that is where I am posting all of my non-race related level up content. So make sure you go watch the new videos and subscribe if you're interested. The link is in the description box. Now, let's get into the interview.
I'm getting dilemmas where women are talking about they're successful, they're in their careers, and they're looking for a decent guy. They're
What
not
is
asking.
decent?
They're not
Describe
asking
the
for a man
terms.
to earn triple the amount that he's
What is
earning.
decent? Give me 3 criteria for decent.
So he's emotionally intelligent.
Emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
Assuming she is as well.
Assuming she is as
Continue.
well. He is a provider. So he's able to, or he has a decent job. They are on
What
the same.
is a decent job?
He has-
Define the term.
He makes an amount that is in the same tax bracket as the woman. Let's just say that. The
Okay.
same tax bracket.
Okay.
Emotionally
Financial
intelligent.
equity.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what this woman said Black women are looking for is not at all unreasonable. And you can tell by the way she said it that she expected pushback from Dr. Umar. Because she's like, yeah, we want provider men, but, they don't have to make 3 times as much. We just want them to be on our level financially. It's almost like she was scared to say it because she knew Dr. Umar was going to slam her for saying it. And to me, that says a lot.
Black women cannot, shall not, should not expect a black man to be able to provide them with the same type of a lifestyle that a Caucasian can provide for the white female.
Now, maybe I missed something, but I didn't hear this woman say anything about successful Black women wanting a Black man to provide the same exact lifestyle that white men provide white women. We know that by looking at the statistics, that most successful Black women are not asking for that because we are statistically the primary demographic that is willing to marry men who make less than us and have less education. Now, we are starting to see more non-Black women in the same situation now that women as a whole have become more educated and are able to get higher paying jobs. But hypogamy is statistically more common for Black women. Now, of course, there are women like me who say hypergamy or nothing, but we don't make up the majority of Black women.
Because the Caucasian benefits from white privilege, the black man suffers from white racism. So we should not be, no sister should be looking for a European equivalent or an African equivalent of a European. A black man has to work twice as hard to get half as much.
You don't hear a lot of Black men saying, oh, well, you need to accept Black women's bad behavior, or you need to accept XYZ from Black women because they're victims of racism and white supremacy. So we shouldn't expect them to behave like white women. No, we hear the exact opposite. We constantly hear Black men negatively compare us to white women and other non-Black women. And we cannot blame anything that they don't like on white supremacy. And even if Dr. Umar gives that out for Black women, most Black men do not. When they discuss what they feel Black women are doing wrong, you hardly ever hear them bring up racism and the white man and the system of white supremacy. We are not given that same grace, but are always expected to give that excuse for Black men. And this is why I don't give that excuse for Black men on my channel.
Too often, black women prioritize a man's income over his masculinity. Sisters need to be careful not to fall into this European narrative of judging men primarily by how much they make.
A man's income is part of his masculinity in this society. Just like women are judged by how we look and how much we weigh, how domesticated we are by men, men are going to be judged by how much money they make and how much they produce. And again, I don't hear Black men as a collective saying, oh, well, Black women don't have to look as good as white women or Latina women or cook and cater to their man because of racism, white supremacy. We are still expected to be traditional women in terms of beauty, in terms of weight, in terms of our behavior. But Black men can't be traditional because of white supremacy. Do you see the game that these men are playing on you, Black women?
I think if a man is, we're talking about financial equity, if he is making enough to build a household with you, to be a leader in the household, I think women are okay with that. I think that's not what they're getting. I think they're getting the other end of the spectrum. That's what we're hearing. You know what I mean?
Would you have a problem if you met a man who made half of what you made or a third of what you made, but he had a financial vision of an empire, a business, some sort of an entrepreneurial undertaking?
See, I think that's dangerous.
Stay with me.
I think that's dangerous.
Let me finish it, and then I want you to respond. And he needed you to help invest in his dream. And he gave you a definitive timeline. He said, give me 12 months or 24, no more than that. If you invest in me, I promise you what I'm going to build will equal where you are. Would you have a problem investing in him?
What does investing in him mean?
Let's say he needed $700 a month to help fuel this dream. He needed $700 for 24 months. Could you do it? You're reluctant.
I
Tell
am
me why you're
reluctant. I am
Tell me why.
reluctant because what's the guarantee?
There is no guarantees in love. There is no guarantees in romance.
And see, this is nothing more than the same hypogamous date a man with potential, come up woman babble that Black men, especially pro-Black men, often push to Black women. There's a difference between women getting with upwardly mobile men and men with potential. Black women are known for, quote unquote, holding a brother down and being a ride or die chick and building the Black man up and nursing his potential. And the reason why Black women are saying, no, I'm not doing that, is because they know from experience that it does not work. They did invest in a Black man's potential and never saw a return on their investment. And if you watch this interview, she even said that she did that and it didn't work. It is one thing to hold a man down financially if he starts off as a provider and something tragic happens, like he gets sick or injured at the job or something like that. It's one thing to help out with the household bills. I think most women in relationships are paying bills, but that is not what Black men are asking for. They're asking for sponsors. And by default, that makes them non-traditional men who want non-traditional relationships or contemporary traditional relationships, which again proves the point I keep making about them not being traditional men who actually want traditional women with traditional relationships. Because traditional women, no matter what race they are, do not pay for a man to level up. Traditional men do that on their own. And again, if this works so much, why don't we have more success stories from the Black women who financially invested in the Black men that they're with? I mean, look at how Black men invested all that money into Dr. Umar's school, aka his potential, and there's still no functioning school that's in operation. He is the perfect example of what he is suggesting not working out for Black women. And it's crazy because I was just discussing Dr. Umar on my last live stream a couple weeks ago and how Black women have contributed to his school for Black boys for over 10 years. And that school still is not finished. And I believe he's made well over $1 million in donations. So here you have a Black man who Black people and primarily Black women have been financing for over a decade because they saw his potential. And after 10 plus years, that potential has not fully materialized. And he's trying to make you believe that if you give a Black man $700 a month for 24 months, that he'll become a millionaire or a high earning man and you'll have the high earning man of your dreams. He could not produce a school with over $1 million in a 10-year period. But he is telling you that if you give a Black man almost $17,000 in a 24-month period, that it will level him up and give you the lifestyle of your dreams. Ladies, shit like this is why so many Black women are moving on and no longer taking pro-Black men and the pro-Black community in general seriously. This is why.
A big difference between the Snow Bunny and the African Queen is the Snow Bunny will find a Black man in progress. She will find him on the job. She will find him on the university.
And see, this is something that Black men do frequently. Kevin Samuels was really good at doing this. It's nothing but fear mongering. They're trying to scare you. Oh, if you don't hold a brother down, these non-Black women, they gonna take your man. Becky, Ming, Ming, and Maria, they gonna take your good Black man. They taking all the good Black men because you sisters ain't acting right. If you keep on going, you ain't gonna have no good Black men left. Statistically, most educated Black people marry each other. So educated Black women are marrying Black men they met in college like every other group of women. They're just not doing it as much because there aren't as many Black men in college as white men and other non-Black men. And unfortunately, most Black women, when they're in college, they don't want to date non-Black men. And some of it is the messaging that we get from older Black people that tell us to just keep our head in the books and not worry about dating. But to pretend that there are these hordes of Black men in college, especially PWIs, that Black women are ignoring and they're getting snatched up by non-Black women and white women, it is not happening on a significant level. And I'm tired of them pushing these lies. The Black women who are not dealing with upwardly mobile Black men are usually Black women from the inner city who aren't around these men to begin with. The idea that there are just hordes of upwardly mobile Black men who are coming from the inner city that are being ignored by all these black women and they getting scooped up by all the non-black women and white women before they become successful, it's cap. As a black woman who grew up in the inner city, I can count on one hand, how many black men I grew up around that were actually upwardly mobile and went off to become high earning, successful black men. Statistically, people who were born in a certain class stay in that same class throughout their entire adulthood. And they also date and marry people of the same class. Black women are choosing the men in their environments, and it's not upwardly mobile black men. If they do choose upwardly mobile men, it's because they made the conscious decision to go outside of their environment and they made the effort to level up in other communities. That's what I did. And let's not even get on how most of these men, when you're in college, they're not ready to settle down. And this especially applies to the black men who are actually upwardly mobile. These men were not ready to settle down and wife nobody, especially if they went to an HBCU. And if you are a black woman who went to a PWI, you can attest in the comments that there just were not a lot of black men to choose from in that environment. And that is the experience most black women have unless they go to an HBCU. And the women there are usually the ones who marry upwardly mobile black men. They are not overlooking them at all. They're going to HBCUs and black conferences and black events to find upwardly mobile black men. So let's stop with the lies. Like, why are we lying like this when there's so much evidence to prove what he's saying is incorrect? If upwardly mobile or high earning black men are choosing white women, it's primarily because that's what they wanted. Okay, has nothing to do with black women overlooking them in college or overlooking them in the hood. And those black men who do happen to have that story, boo fucking who, cry me a river. There are nerdy, educated, alternative black women who were overlooked too. They have the same story as you do. Cry me a river. We don't care.
And that Snowbunny will see a black man with potential and she will invest in him. She will help him level up. And then when the sisters see him 5 years ago, 5 years later, he's a millionaire. And the sisters say, look at that sellout. He went and got a white girl. But guess what? When he was looking for a sister to help him level up, to invest in him, none of them wanted it.
The only kind of white women that help black men financially are the lower class white women. On average, that is who is helping black men financially, just like black women are. The white women who are meeting and dating upwardly mobile black men in college are usually the middle and upper class white women who are in PWIs, along with those black men who are in PWIs. And they're not giving them $700 a month for 2 years. They usually come from middle to upper middle class families. They're both usually still living off their parents. So even if a white woman is with a black man when he's upwardly mobile and doesn't have much, it's usually not a situation where she's with a black man who has absolutely nothing. He might not have his own money, but he's using his daddy's money or his mommy's money and the car he was provided by his parents to ride her around and take her out on dates. Most of the white women who meet these upwardly mobile black men in college, they are not dealing with black men who are dead broke. That is just not happening like that. And the exceptions don't make the rule. If it were so common for white women and other non-black women to finance black men when they have absolutely no money, they wouldn't be begging black women to do it. And I'm just tired of this narrative being pushed and all these out of context statements being made. And I'm not going to play the rest of the interview, but Dr. Umar, he went on to admit that black men disproportionately abuse black women compared to other races of men. He talked about how they lie about wanting monogamous relationships and they really want to be polygamous. And so I'm just like, okay, he's basically laying out all the reasons why successful black women should not date black men. He's basically saying that most of them are terrible options for traditional black women who are successful or who make good money. Throughout this entire interview, he said that black men aren't traditional in any way. He said that white men control everything they do. He said they need black women to sponsor them so they can be providers. And then he said they may not even reach a high level of success after black women invest in them because life isn't guaranteed. Love isn't guaranteed. In what universe is this a good deal, ladies? And what Dr. Umar is saying is not uncommon for black men to say. Like, a lot of them are saying the same thing. And if it's true that racism against black men is so much more aggressive than it is black women, and it makes it to where they can't be traditional providers, in my opinion, ladies, this is all the more reason to open up your options if you're looking for a provider man. At this point, black men are making the case for you. They're telling you to your face all of the reasons why they can't provide, and y'all are still begging them to do it. Girl, most of them can't do it, so why are you still asking? Move on to other men who can and men who want to. I don't see why black women are still having these podcasts trying to negotiate with these men. It is not happening. And in my last live stream, I was talking about this red pill manosphere lady. In her video responding to me, she used Dr. Umar as an example of Black men supposedly building for Black women. And she criticized me for not supporting men like him, but look at what he's doing. He promised a school for Black boys, took over $1 million from Black people and mainly Black women to build one. And over a decade later, the school still isn't here, or at least it's not up and running. And now he's on a podcast comparing Black women to white women, making claims about us that aren't backed up by any statistical facts, just so he can shame Black women into further sponsoring broke Black men, their pipe dreams, their non-existent schools for Black boys, and their Wakanda for the community that will never exist. Then he's trying to cover all of that up with pandering by calling you a beautiful Black queen, so he can keep getting donations from Black women that he and his 2 wives can live off of. Like, you can't make this up. But this is who I'm supposed to follow and support because he's one of the pro-Black leaders of the community? You manosphere pick-me's who are making responses to me, you couldn't find anyone better than this? That says a lot. It says a lot that this is the best Black man that my detractors can present in an attempt to win an argument with me about how Black men are not building. I'm sorry, but trying to use men like Dr. Umar as an example of an upstanding pro-Black man that's building for the community really isn't helping your case. It's not helping your case. It's actually proving me to be right. And you should be embarrassed. So, ladies, please burn the cape. Stop falling for this pro-Black babble, because commentary like this plays a huge part in how Black women are conditioned to operate against our best interest. It is a trap, ladies. It's a trap. It's a mind fuck. Do not fall for it. So I am done here. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.